So today we have one of the most complex sugyas in HBrachos. And we will do our best in a very relatively short shiur to at least define different categories. And we'll also discuss some controversial shilas. And when I say controversial, I just mean from the halachic aspect, how to define, how to deal, and shilas that are shoni b'machlokes between gedolei haposkim. So let me say as an introduction to the sugya of Ikar v'Tofel b'Brachos. 10 different gedorim, 10, not less. Even though in my sefer I wrote 7. But divrei Torah porin v'rovim, 10 different categories. Maybe 10 would be somewhat exaggerated, but let's embark on our journey because it's a fascinating journey. I don't have the list of Madam Akoimis before my eyes, so I think I'm going to give Rabbi Pesach Lederach a hard time today trying to switch from one source to the other, but let's see. We start off with different categories of Ikar v'Tofel. Reish, Yud, Beis, Siv, Aleph. First on our list. Let's have a look at the Shulchan Aruch. Reish, Yud, Beis, Siv, Aleph. Because this Siv is the fundamental Siv. Kol shu Ikar ve'imoit feila, perush dover bilti nechshav, mavorach harike poike esat feila. Beim Brocha shel afoneo, beim Brocha shel achareo. Lo im baya meikar ma'ura ve'metofel, ala filo kol echad levadoi. Va'afilu pas shu choshuv mikol, imu tofel. Even pas, soon we will see in Siman Reish Beis, Chameshes Aminim is never tofel. The most important of Chameshes Aminim is pas. Bread, even bread could be a tofel. Kigon. Shoichel dag maliach, v'oichel pasimoy kedei shelo yezakenu bigrono, mevorach al pas, mevorach al dag, v'poiter es pas, kivan shehu tofel. Mishnah Berurah Siv Koten Hey. Next source. So mevorach al Ikar, ve'ein mevorach al tofel. Misha shosa yayin soref. Last line of the underlined ones. Va'oichel ezedover, o ma'at pas acharov lahafek charifas ashtia, nasa pas tofel ve'ein sorech levorach olav. So we have 2 examples. Even bread could be defined as a tofel. And is when you eat something which is exceptionally spicy or sharp, like whiskey, cognac, or an extremely salted fish, and you disturb it, it's unpleasant, and you eat pas lahofik ta'amoi. In that case, even pas could be a tofel. This is one category of tofel. He's not eating the bread because he enjoys bread. No. It's just to prevent an unpleasant taste. It's just shelo yazikeno, writes the Shulchan Aruch. Or lahofig charifes ashtia. In that case, the tofel is such a tofel, even bread could be a tofel. That is category number 1. He's not eating the tofel because he wants the taste of the tofel at all. It's just to prevent displeasure, to prevent, I don't know whether pain would be the right definition, but an unpleasant sensation. In that case, the tofel is a real tofel, not only chameshes aminim, even pas. Category number 2, which still is chameshes aminim, reish chet, siv beis. Siv in Shulchan Aruch. Reish ches, siv beis. Okay, first let's stop with the bialocha. Okay, scroll back up. Kufa and Dalet Siv Zayin. Pas, always patters anything else. However, he brings from Poiskim, if you drank a liba rekona and on an empty stomach, the bezeyesh chilek. אם הוא קובע סעודה כל פונם על הפס, מבוא לחול והמויצי והמשקו תוך על הפס. ואם הוא אוכל רק מעט פס כדי שלא יזק לו המשקה נעלי ברקונה בלבד, אדרבה, משקה נקרא פס תופל. So we have 3 examples. Even bread sometimes could be a tofel. So, devek, category number 2. If we could have reish chet, siv beis. Reish chet is the siman which talks about chameshes aminim. And chameshes aminim, as a general rule, are never tofel. Oh, is it possible we do? Oh, here we are. Reish chet, siv beis. No, we lost it. A moment, here, I saw it on the screen a moment ago. Here we are. Chameshes minadogen sheshol kol nekotchen v'osamen tafsel. V'masek de'erari v'zv'gesh. All the other stuff. Mavora cholav bore minim ezoina. Savarom loino seladogen betafsel ela ledavkoi v'dak. Poisoi. Hotel betafsel. There's a common denominator at Tzad HaShova between this category and the previous one. In both cases, he's not eating the bread at all because he wants to eat bread. He's not eating chameshes minadogen because of their taste. Category number 1 is just, he shouldn't be harmed or have an unpleasant sensation by other macholim. And we have 3 examples: whiskey, salted fish, drinking on an empty stomach. Category number 2 is devek, and this is very common in the modern food industry. Sometimes you need chameshes minadogen that the food should coagulate. I think that's the right word. Coagulate is like davik, to give it, to have it stick together and not just be like a daisa, like a pudding and so sometimes you use grain, chameshes minadogen, just to have the food coagulate or for bulk, not for the taste at all. And that is the second category of tofel. Category number 3. And this is becoming more and more interesting and more of a chiddush. Category number 3 is when the tofel is something that we do add for taste, but it's not the main taste. Mishnah Brura Reish Yud Beis Vav, or maybe before the Mishnah Brura Shulchan Aruch Reish Ei Dalet. I think I saw it a moment ago. Reish. Shulchan Aruch, Reish, Ei, Dalet. I should have gone according to your Manamekaimis, which I'm
No,
sorry.
it's all here. It's all here. We just got to take a second to find it.
Reish Hey Dalet. Reish Hey Dalet. Shulchan Aruch. Basar im salat. When you use meat with salad, you make a bracha on the meat and not on the salad, because the meat is Ikar. What does he mean, salad? I don't think he means what we call salad in America. I think the halacha is relevant, what the Yerushalmim call salatim. So Yerushalmim, Friday night, could we have Shulchan Aruch? Reish Hey Siv Dalet. This Mishnah Berurah is actually on the Shulchan Aruch. But could we just freeze where we were a moment ago? Reish Yud Beis Vav. Scroll down a moment. Scroll down a bit. Scroll down. No, that was too much.
Okay, we don't have Reish Hey that I could see a Siv Dalet. So we do have the.
Okay, Reish Hey Siv Dalet.
Mishnah Berurah. We have the Mishnah Berurah on the Salatim. We have the Salatim.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to read to you the lesson of the Shulchan Aruch. It's a very brief, straightforward seif. So the Shulchan Aruch says, Reish Hey Siv. Just one moment.
It's on the screen, Rabbi.
Could we go back to the original source sheet and have the Mishnah Berurah?
Reish Hey Dalet. It's in Bala Hatam Ikar, the second segment for Pesach. Reish Hey Dalet. The Mishnah Berurah and Reish Hey Dalet.
Mishnah Berurah.
I don't have page numbers, unfortunately, so I can't tell you which page it is. Mordechai, can you help out? It looks to be the second page.
Im oichel salatim im bosor nase tofel lebosor. Many people wonder, this is a prima godim. Salad with meat? Would the salad be a tofel to the meat? Would that be so? I don't know. But let me give you an example, a present-day example, what Yerushalmim call salatim. So you have the salads, which will be a deal dip, or kishu, or I have a problem with translating. You all eat salads Friday night, primarily with the fish and with the challah, hummus, tchina.
What we call dips, quite HaRav. We call it dips.
Yeah, and not only dips. I know there are dips and there are different salads, which are usually based on squash, I think. Squash, yeah? Eggplant, squash, and you have eggplant and all type of different tastes. That is what the Prima Godim calls salatim in bosor, because today, salad is not necessarily a tofel to meat. Maybe it is, sometimes it isn't. But let's say Yerushalmi kugel with sour pickle. The sour pickle definitely would be a tofel, because nobody eats sour pickles as is on their own. It's always a tofel to something else. Mishnah Berurah Reish Yud Beis Siv Koten Vav. Mishnah Berurah Reish Yud Beis Siv Koten Vav. We have another example of a tofel, which definitely is consumed for its taste.
We had the Mishabur there. You had the Mishabur Pesach. Keep on going. We had the Sharatzian. The Sharatzian Reshid base. The Sharatzian repeats the psak here. They're on salads.
Yeah. I would like Mishnah Berurah, if possible, if we have it. Let me check my Mishnah Berurah, Reshid Beis Siv Kot Vav. Im Oichel Pas Kisnen im Gewinno, O Shar Dover Alapis Boy, Avshem Gamken Chaviven Olav.
Take this down, Pesach. Take this down. Yeah, the Rav was reading the case of the Gavina.
Yes, Makal Mokem Avorach Rak Ala Kisnem Belvad. The Mestavra Shu Ikar Etzlo. Voadim Bachol Dover Kisho Oichel Amin Achel Alapis Boy, Masha Oichel Alapis Nechshav Rak Tofel. So these are examples in which he wants both types of food. They're both Chovav Olav. He enjoys the taste of both of them. Afar Piken, Yesh Ikar v'Yesh Tofel. Kuf Ayin Daled Beis, Yayin Poiter Kol Minei Mashkin.
Back to the master that we have. Back to the master, Pesach.
So Kuf Ayin Daled, Siv Beis, wine and other drinks. So let's make this clear. The other drinks don't affect the wine. The wine doesn't affect the other drinks. This is a new concept of Ikar v'Tofel. Yayin poiter kol minei mashken, and that is in Siman Kuf Ayin Daled in Eriyar. Yayin poiter kol minei mashken. Afilim abrocha reshoina comes along the Bia Halacha. And the Bia Halacha says, on this halacha, it is only if you drink wine in a considerable quantity, which proves you enjoy the wine. But if you don't just take a sip of wine to say l'chaim, it's not poiter shar minei mashkin. And that's the Bia Halacha on the spot. So yayin is an ikar lagabe other mashkin, not because the other mashkin are tufel yayin in the classical sense, but because wine is the king of all other drinks. Just like pas, poiter kol minei yoichlin, yayin, poiter kol mashkin. So the Bekiva Eger in Siman Kuf Ayin Daled brings a psak from the Bote Kahuna that if the wine is kiddush or kosher brocha, when you say the brocha on a bris milah or any other kosher brocha, yayin is not poiter shar minei mashkin. Because the reason you're drinking the wine is mitzvah, not because you enjoy the wine. Rabbi Akiva Eiger disagrees. But this is a new category, number 4, of Ikar and Tofel. And now category number 5 is majority and minority. When two foods are on the same tafshel, the same dish, but you have different types of foods, and that is very common in a chont. So in the chont, you have potatoes, beans, which are boire priyadamu. You have some meat, which is a shakel. Sometimes you have kishka, and that would be a mezainis. What brocha do you make on chont? This brings us to the discussion of roiv and miyat, any dish that is a combination of different brochas. How does one define ikar v'tofel? Are we connected? Could you please respond, because something happened to my screen?
We are fine. We are fine. We see the Rav. We hear the Rav perfectly.
Oh, so Reish Chet Siv Zayin, and this is category number 5 in the sugya of Ikar v'Tafel. It's not that one food supplements the other. It is not that one is more important than the other. It is simply there is more of one than there is of the other. And this once again would be defined as Ikar v'Tafel.
Scroll down, Pesach. Please scroll it down.
Reish Chet Siv Zayin. If you chew iris, here we are. Akoises was more about Piadom of Yaakov Menafoshois. Vim Bisloi, Achenesmach, Oishetochnoy, Mavoracholabayim Zaines. Now is the punchline. Who shall ye Murim Dovaracha and Oiris Navadoy? Vim Irev Mameno Vitav Shalach, Vatav Shalach Roiv, Mavoracholov, Kebeches Oisoi Hatav Shom. We go Bosaroiv. But that is when a dish has various ingredients. And the most relevant question is chont. What bracha do you make on chont? This is a big controversy. Usually chont has at least 3 components or 3 ingredients. It depends on a Polish chont or a Hungarian chont or a Sephardi chont, but most chont has various different types of beans, potatoes. There's always some meat, whether it's chicken or beef. And kishka is not very healthy, but usually our Shabbos meals generally aren't very well balanced and healthy. So we hope that when you eat Lechovot Shabbos, it won't be detrimental to your health. So what bracha do we make on chont? Some people argue if you have kishka, you'll make a mezainis. I don't think so. And we will soon see that even chameshes minadogan sometimes are a tofel. I do not think that the ikar chont is the kishka. No, I don't think so. So what would you make? What bracha would you make on chont? There's always some shahakal, which is meat. A lot of adama. There probably is more adama than anything else.
What about the barley in the chont? A lot of barley in chont nowadays.
Okay. So what bracha would you make on barley? If it's cooked, that would be a mezainis. So if you have a lot of barley, especially you have the combination of barley and kishka, probably you would make a mezainis. But I think this would be a classical example of this halacha of roiv. It depends what the roiv chont is, because it is extremely difficult and maybe impossible to define what's the ikar in the chont. And this brings us to the sushi question, which I don't have a clear answer, because to me, sushi lacks any taste. I think most people that eat sushi is just because of the peculiar name, sushi, and it is defined as something which is exclusive. I don't find any taste in sushi, but what's the ikar? Is it the rice? Is it the fish? Is it the vegetables? There are 3 different brachas. The rice would be a mezainis, the fish would be a shahakal, the vegetables would be adamo, I don't know. So soon we will discuss the question, so what do you do when you have a suffix? That is, it'll be part of our shir, but let's move forward. There's a huge machlokes achronim. What do you do with fruit cocktail? And this is very popular, especially as a dessert. Have a fruit cocktail, and usually there's boire pri weights and boire pri adamo. Sometimes bananas, sometimes other types of fruits which are adamo. There's a lot of eights. And sometimes it's difficult to define what's the roiv and what's the miyat. Do you need to spill out the fruit cocktail on a flat tray and a flat plate and start counting the pieces? Very unreasonable. I think the din of Rav and Miyat needs to be a ruba de minkar. It needs to be obvious without counting little pieces. Rav and Miyat needs to be obvious. But this is an interesting machlokes. The Chayodam, Kalal Nun Aleph, Shulchan Aruch HaRav, Reish Dalet Yud Zayin. I don't know whether we have the sources. They say,
Pesach, release it to Rav Mordechai. I'll put on the Chayodam, please, as we have.
Nun Aleph Yud Gimel.
Yeah, we have it. It's just going to take a second till we get on the Chayodam.
Nun Aleph Yud Gimel. The Chayodam says, here we are. Erev Beis Minim Shein Berchiseim Shoven Kegam Boy Pruitzim Boy Piadam of Yoitzaboy. After Pishabolit Nutam, Orkan HaRav, Mavorach Olav, Vedavka, Beinin She'ena Ma'at Nikar. Avalam Kol Echod Nikar Yatzmoy, Einen Azetofel. Mavorach Al Kol Echod Berchosei Hara'ui Lo. Chayodam quotes Mogan Avraham. So according to the Chayodam, when you have a fruit cocktail, you take out a little piece of banana or another adama and you make adama, and then you make eights. First the eights and then the adama. That's a fundamental rule. Prima Godim, Derech Chaim, Oches Shulchan. But let's have a look at Mishnah Brura, Reish Yud Beis Sif Kod Nalef.
Back to the master.
Mishnah Brura, Reish Yud Beis Aleph. The Mishnah Brura says, because the derech is to eat them together and not to separate. So we go, Basar, Roiv. Reish Yud Beis Aleph. Here we are. Ima Ike Mu'ura. Kegon Kol HaTarivus Shel Shnei Minim She'echad U'Ika V'Sheni Ena Borer Etaknoi. Then that's a tough. And then Emechad Mem Eino Deva Choshev Avshuarav Botla Gaba Mieta Choshev Duika. But then the Mishnah Brura says, Afilo Kol Min V'Min Oimed B'Fnei Atzmoi V'Nikar Name Bosarav Aslinan. ועל כן בפורים שמרחן סומסמן בדבש ומעב הפתית היגויס כל שרוב סומסמן בוסר עיקר אסלינן ומבורך בוירי פרי אדמו. So the Mishnah Brura says, even if each of them is nikar b'fnei atzmo, and that is the opinion of Prima Godim, Chavis Das and Derech Chaim, Oches Shulchan. So this is a machlokes in Achronim. Mistaber kedivre ha-Mishnah Brura, Lo kechai odom. That's a teruos. That's the way we eat fruit cocktail. We don't pick each and every one. And therefore, as Lina Bosarov, my argument, and this is my chiddush, you don't need to count. If it's not obvious, what is that of? You say Adamo, because Adamo patters aids. Category number 6. Takes us to the Mishnah Brura.
Goes further. 1 second. If we can understand this psak. So you have a fruit cocktail of Adama, and the eights, the Rav is telling us that we make an Hadama. You don't have to start making cheshbonos of what the Rav and what the Tafel is. Is that accurate?
If it's obvious, and many times it's quite obvious there's more eights than Adama. But if it's not obvious, you don't count. When we say the Rav is the Ika and the Miyat is the Tafel, it's not a scientific Rav and Miyat. So maybe we will have a suffix, more pieces are Adamo, but the eights are the bigger pieces. You need a laboratory to define what's the Ikar and what's the Tafel? Do you need to spill out your cocktail and count what's eights and what's Adamo? And then we'll have another question. The eights are bigger pieces, the Adamo are smaller pieces, but there are more Adamo than eights. This is ridiculous. And therefore, I think in this din of Rav Amiyat, it needs to be obvious. Nikar lemara ayin. If not, you say Adama, because Adama patas eights. And therefore, according to the Chayodam, you separate them. But because the Aloch is Mishnah Brura and Prima Godim and Oches Shulchan, you don't separate them. And therefore, I think you would say Adama. Category number 6 Ikar v'tofel ba'oisoi hamin mamish. And this is very common when you eat grapefruit. Some people cut a grapefruit in half. There's a special type of knife which makes it easy to fish out or dish out the fruit in the grapefruit, and you're always left with a lot of juice. Mishnah Brura Reish Beis, Tivkot Mechov Gimel. And this is an interesting psak. In Berech Boire Priwates. Just a minute, where is that? Okay. Mishnah Brura Reish Beis Nun Dalet. Second one on our screen. Ma'irish shoy samayim b'fnei atzmon, aval am oichel ha'peres atzmon, v'shoy samayim gam kein, mistavre de lekuli alma, ein tzorech lavorach aleim, lo yibroch l'shoyim, lo yibroch ha'chloina, denase tofer lapri. So this is very common when you eat a grapefruit. After you've finished eating the flesh of the grapefruit, you're always left with a lot of juice. And some people like the juice as well. They will either use a spoon to consume the juice or spill it into a cup. So on the juice, you say a shakel. On the grapefruit, you say Weiss. And now that you've finished eating grapefruit and you're just drinking the juice, do you need to say a shakel? Mishnah Brura says, no. It's a tofel. I think it goes the other way around. You could buy orange juice or grapefruit juice, and the maximum manufacturer says on the label that the juice is not pure juice, there is pulp in the juice. That means there's a significant amount of the flesh of the fruit, and some people would prefer that. I think that's a shakel and not a boire priwetz. And both these halachas, both ways around, it is ikar poiter as a tofel, even though it's min echod. But one is mashka, which is a shakel. The other is oichel, which is a eitz. So this is a new concept of ikar v'tofel. Not shnei minim, same meaning, but two different brachas. And if we scroll up just a few lines, we have a similar concept, similar but slightly different, and that is gar'inei peiros. So in Simen Reish Beis Siv Gimel, the Mechaber says, do we have the Shulchan Aruch or only the Mishnah Brura? Shulchan Aruch Reish Beis Siv Gimel. I'm not sure we have the Shulchan Aruch, but I have it before my eyes. I'm just reading to you what we have in Reish Beis Siv Gimel. Gar'inei perot. Imem isukim mevorach aleim boire priwetz. Let's have a look, Mishnah Brura. לאו דווקא מסוקים, כל שכך נהנה ממנו במקצת. והטעם שמבורך בו לפועץ משם דהם נמה חלק מחלקי הפרי. הרבה אחרונים חולקים על זה, וסביר על ידי אין מבורך בו לפועץ, לא יהווה כפרי גופר. And you say אדומה, וכן אז כל מסגרו. אם בירך בו לפועץ יוצא בדיעבד. And now he says, והם אויכל הגרעין אחר שאויכל הפרי, Mistava de la Kulialman, Iftaba Berchas Boire Priwetz, David Tofel Pri. So the Mishnah Brura has the same approach. You're eating the seed after you finish the pri, or you're drinking the juice after you finish the pri. Sada Shava Shabbat, it's the same species, same type of food, but two different parts of the same mean have two different brachas. This is the concept of Ikar v'tofel. Concept number 8. Concept number 8. Bi'alocha Reish Yud Beis Aleph, quoting Derech Chaim. Rice and meat. Reish Yud Beis Aleph Bir Halach. Ikar me'irav u'matofel. I Mishnah Brura v'derech Chaim Mos Yud Ches Kosav Ezer Shoyna. Im oichel shnei macholim shem ma'uluvim b'karachas. Im ikar kavanos al echad מבורך עליו, פוטר השני, אפילו הוא מיעוט. Sometimes the minority is more important. What do I mean important? Not like yayin, shepoite kol mina mashke, which Chazal say wine is more important than all the other mashke or pas. Subjective. Subjective. Ikar kavanosoi. Depends on him. So, if you have a dish, which is rice and little pieces of chicken, it's a very popular dish in Israel, I don't know in America, which is chicken together with rice. According to the Derech Chaim, you would say a shahakol. Because probably the chicken is ikar. Perik v'zois HaBracha, Sefer v'zois HaBracha, it's a very well-known Sefer on Din HaBrachos. What's Rav Elyashiv?
I think we have it, Pesach, scroll down. I think we have it. You got to scroll down.
Here we are. Is this it?
Yes.
שני מינים ומין אחד יויסה חושם השני, אין אומרים שהוא עיקר, אלא כן עיקר כוונוס אלוהיס המין והשני מין מולאפסוי. כן גם הוירה אחד מגדול האדון, במקרה שתריבס תפוחי אדמה ובשר, אף על פי שבוסי יויסה חשוב. כל שגם תפוחי אדמה בואים לחבונס אכילה, עוד כמה HaRav, ומרוב תפוחי אדמה, מבורך בוירי פרי הוא אדם.
And it patters the chicken. That's the pshat, not two brachas. It patters the chicken.
Yes. So according to the Mishnah Brura, according to Derech HaChaim, it does depend what is more choshev ba'einov. But Rav Elyashiv disagrees, and he says potatoes and meat. Usually, the main thing is the meat. But we go Bosaroiv. And this psak is based on Aruch HaShulchan. The Aruch HaShulchan deals with chicken and rice. But I think it's a mistake. Chicken and rice are not a taroivis. You have chicken and you have rice. But you have a big piece of chicken. It's not a taroivis. But when we're dealing with a taroivis, which is a salad, it's like rice with little pieces of chopped chicken. In that case, I think according to the Bialacha, we would say shahakol. The Aruch HaShulchan doesn't deal with a taroivis. He deals with chicken and rice in the same plate. So, Rav Elyashiv paskined, if you have potatoes together with meat, you go bosaroiv. My feeling would be the meat is the ikar. And ikar dato yala bosa. But once again, this type of ikar v'tofel is subjective. Number 9 is a chiddush which you won't find anywhere.
If I could stop for a second. So according to Elyashiv, if you have chips, you have French fries on the plate, you like French fries, but you also have a big piece of chicken, you make a bracha only on the French fries because you like French fries and it patters the chicken. And the Rav disagrees.
I don't think so, because Rav Elyashiv is dealing with a taroivis tapuchei adama b'basar. French fries and chicken would be like the Aruch HaShulchan, like chicken and rice. In that case, I think you say 2 separate brachas. That is not a tuffle.
Like a stew. In other words, a stew. You're talking about a stew, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about a stew, and Rav Elyashiv is talking about a stew. Rav Elyashiv says, you go bosa roiv. My feeling would be chashivas, because the Bialocha, quoting the Derech Chaim, is speaking about a stew, and he says, Mashe ikar kavanosoi. So sometimes it's difficult to define what is ikar kavanosoi. And that is a problem. In that case, I would agree to Rav Elyashiv's psak. Number 9 is a chiddush. And that is the very last Yerushalmi in Masechet Psachim. I didn't bring it to my safe. I'm just getting up for a moment. I want to bring a Yerushalmi to my table. So the last sugya in Yerushalmi Masechet Psachim deals with a person that is makrav korban Pesach together with a zevach. And by a krovas karbonos, b'shas a krovas korban, you need to make a bracha. So when you're makrav korban Pesach, you say a bracha shekadishonu b'mitzvoisa v'tzivonu lahakriv korban Pesach. And when you shech the chagigi, you say lahakriv korban chagiga. So I don't know whether we could have it on the screen, but it's fascinating.
Rav, give us exact site, Yerushalmi.
Ayin Aleph Amud Beis, the very last two lines in Yerushalmi Masechet Psachim. Ayin Aleph Amud Beis. At the very end of Masechet Psachim. Omer Rabbi Zaira. I think you're playing around with it, the Sefta.
Yerushalmi, you got to go to Yerushalmi.
The first section. Okay, here we are. Yerushalmi Psachim Ayin Aleph Amud Beis. Here we are.
Sorry, it doesn't give me permission to use it. I'm sorry. Let me try it again.
No, I don't want Ois Voda. My Yerushalmi is not Ois Voda. Could we have an old?
Can we just go to the old Yerushalmi print? There you go. Thank you.
Here we are. Omer Rav Zeira. The lo birach berches a Pesach loy poteres a zevach. Shal zevach poteres a Pesach. Sha Pesach bechlal zevach. Omer Rav Mona Pesach Ikar v'zevach tfeilo. We have a machlokes Yerushalmi. The person says one bracha, he shechts the chagiga and he shechts the Pesach. Rav Zeira says, if he said a bracha on the Pesach, he wasn't part of the zevach. But if a person says Asher Kadeshonu b'mitzvoisa v'tzivonu ala krovas hazevach, Pesach bechlal zevach. Rav Mona says no. Pesach ikar, zevach tfeila. The reason your makra the korban is lechor Pesach ala soiva, but the big mitzvah Pesach night is achilas korban Pesach. That's the real mitzvah. The zevach is only Nechor Pesach ala soiva. So Ramona says, Pesach ikar, zevach tfeila, you say a bracha on the Pesach, you're part of the zevach. Lama aתם יוצאים? אז למה אתם יוצאים? אחר כך תחזרו לפה?
לא, אתה מסיים?
נסיים בעוד 5 דקות. So this is a huge chiddush we find nowhere else. Ikar and Tofel beberches hamitzvah. In all the poiskim, we only find Ikar and Tofel beberches hananet. So this Yerushalmi is a big mitzvah. It's the only source. Nowhere in Bavli, only once in the entire Yerushalmi, concept of Ikar and Tofel beberches hamitzvah. So that's
What's pshat? What is pshat in this? What is Rav? Can Rav explain it?
So let me explain. When you're Mekayim 2 mitzvahs, and they are closely related, you only say one bracha. For instance, Sfiras Waima, Yomim v'Shavuos, Tumas Amaisis. When you're Mafish Tumas Amaisis, well, you don't do that in Chutz La'aretz, but I have a lemon tree in my backyard, so I say the brachas all the time. You don't say a bracha, Asher Kadeshonu b'Mitzvoisa v'Tzivonu la'afresh Tuma Gedola, and then another bracha on Ma'aser Rishon, bracha number 3 Tumas Meiser, bracha number 4 on Meiser Sheni. No, you say one bracha, alafroshes Tumas Amaisis. So, Erev Pesach in the afternoon, you're makriv 2 korbanos. Chagigas Yudalit, and Korban Pesach. Which bracha do you say? Rav Zeir says, Asher Kedushono b'Mitzvah Tzivon ala Kloves HaZerach. Zerach is a Hagdorah, a definition that covers both Karbonos, the Chagiga and the Pesach. Rav Muna says no. You say ala Kloves HaPesach and you part of the Zerach. Because Pesach Ikar, Zerach Tofel, Mavorach Alo Ikar, V'poiter es HaTofel. So this is the only source anywhere that there's a concept of Ikar v'Tofel b'Brachos by Berachos HaMitzvah. And maybe that is actually the Machlekes HaMeron between Rav Zira and Rav Mona. Whether there is a concept of Ikar v'Tofel by Berachos HaMitzvah. Okay, now a few minutes. What do we do when we really have a suffix? And let me share with you a few sveikas. In Reish Beis, we learn Chameshes Aminim are never a tofel, but never say never. Shulchan Aruch, Chameshes Aminim are generally not a tofel. But we did see in the beginning of today's shir, sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. When it's ledevek, when you eat pas because you drank a very powerful whiskey and it burns your throat and that's why you eat a piece of bread. So sometimes chameshes aminim are a tofel. So let me give you a few examples which, let's have a look first of all, Reish Chesiv Beis. Reish Chesiv Beis is the fundamental din. Chameshes aminim are different than anything else. Chameshes minadogan shesholkon. Afile erev imoam dvash. Reish Chesiv Beis. So let me share with you what we have here, even if we don't find it. Reish Chesiv Beis, Shulchan Aruch says, Chameshes aminim, if they put into the dish for tam, even yesh minam acherem harbe yoyse mehem. Here we are. Reish Chesiv Beis.
No, put it back. With Pesach, put it back. Let Mordechai keep it on. Okay, fine. Somebody.
We had it a moment ago.
Yeah, somebody put it on back, please. Whoever's fastest.
Reish Chesiv Beis. Here we are. Chameshes minadogan shesholkan lekotzim v'yosem em tafsel kamasik dera arifes gerish karma daisa afela irva muam dvash har beyoysem mehem o mina macherem har beyoysem mehem mavorach mezayne. So the Shulchan Aruch emphasizes not only a little more, even har beyoysem mehem mezaynes. But in my chuvas, at great length, I wrote, there are exceptions. And when it's obvious, and I want to give a few examples. What bracha do you make on schnitzel? Schnitzel. Well, it's a slice of tasty meat. It's covered with a terovis that contains kemach. I think it would be very strange to say a mezainis on schnitzel. It is so obvious that the mezainis is a coating. The coating is always bottled. The coating is always a toffel. That's my opinion. On schnitzel, you say a shahak. What do you say on a soup that has lakshan? Lakshan is a mezainis. Would you say a mezainis on soup that has lakshan? Isn't it obvious that the lakshan? How do you say lakshan in English? That everybody knows what lakshan is?
Lakshan in English is lakshan.
Okay, so it's lakshan. So, or a soup that has kneidlach. Would you say a mezainis on the soup? Well, the soup comes together with a kneidlach, or lakshan, or soup almonds. Soup almonds that are mezainis. Would you say a mezainis on soup because of the soup almonds? Isn't it obvious that the soup almonds supplement the soup? So when you have a tafshel, chameshes minadogim is more important than anything else. So even if it's harbi yosi, is still said mezainis. But when the nature of the food, it's so obvious what's the ikar and what's the tafel, like schnitzel, like lakshan in a soup, like soup almonds. To me, it's a milsa, the pshit, you say a shakal in the soup, and you say a shakal on the schnitzel. So you have ice cream, and sometimes ice cream has little chips of cookie. Would you say a shakal on the ice cream or a mezainis? To me, it's poshet kebeis of a kutcha. You're not eating cake. You're eating ice cream. And everybody knows what ice cream is. What do you say in an ice cream cone? Would you say a mezainis? Maybe it would be reasonable to say a shakal, and when you finish the ice cream, you eat the cone, you're going to say a mezainis, maybe. But would you say only a mezainis on the ice cream, including the cone? Because you eat the cone together with the ice cream. So would you say chameshes mina dogan is ikar? And when you eat a big ice cream cone, all you're going to say is a mezainis? Doesn't make sense. Now, the Beis Yosef says if you eat the tofel before the ikar, you need to say a bracha on the tofel. So regarding an ice cream cone, maybe the question isn't that relevant. Because you always eat ice cream before you get to the cone. And when you eat the tofel before the ikar, you need to say a bracha on the tofel. However, I still think that sometimes it is obvious that chameshes minadogim, even though it is letam, still is it. So in my opinion, on schnitzel, you say a shahakal. On soup with almonds or with lakshan, you say a shahakal. Even though we're dealing with chameshes minadogim, we still would say meborach ala ikar, hoiteres atafel. So I think this is a fascinating sugya. We brought 9 different categories of ikar v'tofel b'brachos, and the punchline was the Yerushalmi, ikar v'tofel b'berachos mitzvah, and we shared kama v'kama sveikas in today's shiur, in which there are different opinions between Gedolei HaPoskim.
Can I ask one more, quite around this? The whole long, as you can imagine, a long list of questions here, which we cannot burn you with. But I'm going to ask Rav Mordechai, put on page 468. Rav Moshe Nigras Moshe talks about the ice cream cones, and he talks about the milk in the cereal, and then he has a psak there, which is very very unusual. What's the bracha kipshutai on oatmeal with bananas in the oatmeal? That's a mezainis.
Definitely mezainis.
So look at this psak here on the upper right, left. And yesh sham peres. Rav sees this?
Yes. Oh.
You cut it off here, paste. Yeah, go. Fine.
Shem chatiches ein shaykhem klar edayis afshenim subiachad mitzorach lavor chaim b'fnei atzmo. It's a big chiddush. I would not agree with this. I mean, there's a reason the bananas are in the oatmeal. They're there because they come together and they supplement the taste of the oatmeal. It's a pshitus to me that you say a mezainis. I would disagree with this psak. It's a niggas Moshe.
Niggas Moshe, here's the site, Simon Ben Gimel. Yeah, Cheldad Simon Gimel.
You know, I'm a tremendous admirer of Rav Moshe, but I disagree with this psak. I think it definitely would say a mezainis. That's the real ikar v'tofel. First of all, it's chamesh shaminim, and it's also v'roiv. So I don't see any tzad. So, you know, Rav Moshe was Porush. So Rav Moshe says, what bananas do in oatmeal? Maybe they just fell in by mistake.
Okay, and the next one, he says, on the kneidlach with soup, the Rav talked about mandlin. Here he talks about again, I'm
Yeah,
not
let me see.
trying to ask Kasha some what you said.
I'm reading it. Marak shel Tanagol. I like the Moshe's language. Marak shel Tanagol. It's funny. Today it's Marakov, not Marak shel Tanagol. Anyway, the Moshe was an American.
He's a
Marak
Russian.
shel Tanagol im kuftaot kneilech v'chedoim meminim mesonis mavoch and bodim mesonis ala kuftaot v'ala Marak ein tzorach levorach im lo kishishoyse Marak levad aval yoyse tov lecho biyachad. Oh. I say, on the kneilech you say a mezonis, and on the soup you say a shakol. Because the soup cannot be a total to the kneilech. But I do think, we're dealing with nuances. I think Lakshan is not like kneilech. Kneilech is more a dover b'fnei atzmoi. Kneilech in soup, I would say kneilech mezonis, soup shakol. Lakshan in soup, only shakol. Soup almonds in soup, only shakol. So the Moshe says, you make a mezonis on the kneilech and you pat the soup. I don't think the soup could be a toffel to the kneilech. I don't think the soup could be a toffel to the kneilech. No, I don't think so.
The two brachas. The Rav says two brachas.
This is Rachel Rosenboim. Yes, Reb Shloimeh.
Okay, so according to the Rav's practice, two brachas, both on
yes, kneilech and shont, I would say two brachas. But if you say a shahakal, you are yaitza. But if you say a mezonis, doesn't patter the soup.
But in any case, you make two brachas, the mezonis comes first, right?
Yes.
Aren't you raising yourself into a question that you're pattering the shackle with the mezonis? Midin that the mezonis patters, that's the suffix, right? That's together of a suffix. Right.
Yeah, but this is a general question which I dealt with in my sefer, and it did not bring a clear conclusion. When you have Ikar and Tofel and you decide to make two brachas, might be a bracha levatol. But I think when we're dealing with kneilech and soup, it really is. I definitely would not agree that you only make a mezonis, because by the nature of kneilech is a tofel to the soup. Kneilech by its very nature is a tofel to the soup.
Okay, before the Rav goes, the Eilam wants to know Lemaisa the sushi. Rav, just a moment before you go about the sushi, the most wichtige food after Schnitzel and Klal Yisrael today.
I really don't know. So I tell people, if there's fish in the sushi, say a shahakal patters everything. I really don't know, because to me sushi has no taste whatsoever. So how could we define what's ikar? Whether it's the rice or the fish or the vegetables, I don't know. So you say a shakal, and shakal patters everything.
Okay.